Good morning, grade 10s. How are you today? I'm great, thanks for asking. So today we're going to start with our new chapter. Yesterday we started with the terminology that we need to be focusing on the rest of the chapters that we're doing. You all remember we finished with this very nice fiber and textile board game that we played, just to make sure that we know the terminology. So now we're going to move on to the different fibers that we get. We're going to start off with natural fibers. So when we have a look at natural fibers, we actually get animal fibers and we get plant fibers. We're going to start with plant fibers. So in the word plant fibers, you already hear the word plant. So you know something will be used that's plant-based to actually get the textile. That plant consists of cellulose, and that cellulose has got certain properties that will give us characteristics on the textiles that we use. So I've brought you some examples. So the first one that I've got is a cotton shirt. So when we start off with the lesson, I'm going to explain to you certain characteristics and why this will be a suitable clothing piece to use, and in which season this will also be a very good clothing piece. I've also brought you pants, that's an example of linen. So I'm going to send the samples around. Please have a feel. You know, we already did wrinkle properties, absorbency, if you wring the property or the fabric, what the result is. So have a look, scrunch it together, have a feel, get the idea of linen and cotton. So before we start with the lesson, I've got some very interesting facts for you. I didn't know. So this is an image of a cotton plant. I tried to physically get a cotton plant so that you can actually see it live, but it's not harvesting time at the moment, so I couldn't get one. So this is how a cotton plant looks. So what does a cotton plant and a light bulb have in common? Does anyone know? Okay, you all know who Thomas Edison was. He was the man that invented the light bulb, which was an amazing invention for all of us. But the first fiber that was used inside a light bulb was actually a cotton fiber. That's just an interesting fact for you. And then another interesting fact on linen. We don't all know how a linen plant, the right or the correct word is actually a flax plant. So flax plants look like this. Okay, can you all see? So it forms a little blue flower. This one is now already harvested. The blue flower, as soon as it dries out, the seed that's in the flower, they use that for flaxseed oil, or physically the flax seed that we use in products, which is very healthy for us. So then the part that's left over, this middle area, when it dries out, it forms, it almost feels like dried out grass, if I can give you an idea. It feels like that. So then it goes through a whole production cycle to get it into linen. So what does this and a US dollar bill have in common? Okay. 75% of a linen or a flaxseed plant is used in a dollar bill. 25% of this dollar bill is made up of cotton. So this piece of paper, a US dollar, is made up out of linen and cotton, which is also very interesting. So there's a new word that we're going to use when we talk about cotton. The word is ginning. So ginning is when they use the flower. So you must remember the cotton flower has got small little seeds on the inside. They need to remove that seeds before it can go further down in the processing part of cotton into a fiber. Also an interesting fact on cotton. Cotton isn't always naturally white. Sometimes it can be a pinkish color, a brownish, or even a green on the inside. So it's not always white. One of the characteristics of cotton, which is very, very nice, and it makes it a very nice fabric to use, is that it is you can color it into any color and it holds that color very well. So some of our other products, like if we look at our synthetics, we're going to only look at that in 2 weeks' time. Synthetic fibers, not all of it can absorb very nicely when you want to color it. So that's a very nice property of cotton. So when it comes to cotton, what happens if, I'm going to show you a video on how cotton is made. It's much easier than trying to explain everything for you because it's visual, you can see it. It's also very interesting to see how the manufacturing process works. It's not that expensive to do, but the problem with cotton is cotton needs a lot of water when it's planted, the cotton plant. And also, you know, when we have a look at linen, on textiles, there's certain properties like antibactericidal. We all know the word bamboo. Bamboo's been used on everything. Isn't it amazing how God gave us all these natural fibers that's out there for us to use? It makes life easy. It makes our lives comfortable. We can make the environment around us, our houses, ourselves, we can beautify it by something that God gave us. But with this gift, there's also a big responsibility. We have to take care of the environment and we have to look after our natural resources. Otherwise, we won't have anything left for our children. What's also amazing is that God gave us something as simple as a flower bud that can actually create light. And it's important to be amazed by it, but it's also important that we teach our children to be responsible, and that's each of you that's sitting here, to be responsible. Don't wear a piece of clothing once and then you decide you're just going to throw it out. There's people out there that can use it. They can actually recycle a lot of clothes. So think before you just throw it away or before you waste with the environment around us. Okay, so let's go on. When we look at cotton, we need to use a lot of pesticides in the production or the growing phase. So you can imagine all those pesticides that are being used because it's very prone to get fungi and bacteria inside it. So that process, when the pesticide goes into the soil, it's not very good for the soil. So it's quite a damaging production cycle that it goes through, and there's a lot of technology that goes into it to actually avoid the soil being contaminated with products that they use to save the plant from fungi and bacterial pests. When it comes to linen, linen is antibacterial. So usually if we look into the medical industry, in bandages they use linen. Linen is absorbent. Linen dries quickly. So if you wear a linen shirt when it's very hot, you'll see in Europe where there's very high temperatures, linen is very cool on the skin. It's a light fabric. It's cool on the skin. It absorbs, but it also dries quickly. Whereas with cotton, cotton also absorbs, but it keeps the moisture in. So it doesn't dry that quickly. So that's why a linen shirt in summertime is much more comfortable than a cotton shirt. Whereas a cotton shirt in wintertime will actually be much more comfortable because it can keep the heat in. It's a softer fabric, but also over time, the more we wash it, the more it loses its softness. So it actually becomes a little bit uncomfortable. I know you all, like your school shirts that you wear is cotton. But after a while from ironing it, it starts to scratch you at the back. It actually, where it wears and tears, it starts to go through. You don't find that in linen. Linen is very resistant. So I'm also going to show you a video on how the whole process with linen works. So now that we know the process that it goes through, there's certain characteristics. So both materials or textiles have properties that's the same. So they're very strong. Linen is actually the strongest plant fiber that we get. So linen and cotton is strong. It's not like silk, which can tear easily. It's a strong fiber. It's been used in upholstery and wearing products like linen and bedding and towels, everything that we actually use every day because it's such a good textile. It's not that expensive. And what's nice about linen and cotton, the whole plant is actually used. So they use the seeds, and from the seeds they can get oil. From the plant that's actually used, like the piece that's left over, they use that to put it into the ground again. And a lot of the leftovers, they actually dry out and they use it in animal feed because it's very high in nutrients. So I'm quickly going to show you a burn test so that you also get an idea of the textiles. I've got 2 samples that I've already burned. I'm going to send it around. I actually want you to have a look at it and feel, so that you can get a feel of the ash that's left over. I've already handed out the papers, your summary paper on all the characteristics and uses. You've got these samples. I want you to please put it in each block so that when at the end of all the textiles, it will be easy for you if you have a feel and you look at the care instructions to actually know which fabric you look at. Because sometimes when you go to a shop, you have a look and you don't really know, or there's no label on, and you don't know, is it linen, is it wool, which product it is. So from the characteristics, the feel, the actual usage, you'll know which fabric it is. So let's quickly do a burn test so that you can see how it works. I'm going to hand out these papers as well. So while I'm busy doing the burn test, you're not going to focus on this. You're first going to focus on me. So we're going to do cotton. Then you have to write down what the flame looks like, what the smell is, how the ash looks. So first have a look and then you can fill it in. This is important to know because it explains a lot of the characteristics to you as well. So I'm first going to burn a sample of cotton. So there you can see the flame and how it works. I'm just going to put it in water. We don't want to burn down the room. So there you can see how it burns. And the fiber that I'm going to send around, you'll be able to see how the ash forms. Now we're going to take a sample of linen. This is linen. So you can see it almost burns the same. So now, if we look at the burn test, you can already see, you remember I told you that the dollar bill is made out of linen and cotton. So if I take that dollar bill and I set it alight, it will burn. There will be nothing left of it. You'll see how quickly the flame went. If you wear cotton and it catch a flame, it will burn very quickly. It forms a very fine ash. The smell, it actually smells like paper being burned. That's how it smells. You'll see with natural fibers, it actually smells like hair being burned. It's a very bad smell. So the natural fibers, the smell smells like paper. So now you already know the difference between the two. So when it comes to care, I know you all, sometimes you buy a cotton shirt and it fits nicely and then your mom throws it in the washing machine and the next time you want to wear it, it shrunk. So that's what happens with cotton. It usually shrinks. So make sure if you buy a cotton shirt, you'll see in the care label, it says 100% cotton. This one actually says it in Chinese. But you'll see the care label, we've already done all of that. It also says warm water. So don't use cold water on cotton because you're going to shrink it. Also, if you throw it into a tumble dry, you're going to have the same problem. Whereas with linen, linen doesn't shrink. So that's just 2 interesting facts that's different between the two. We've already known, I've explained to you, a cotton shirt absorbs the water, but it doesn't dry that quickly. Whereas a linen shirt is also very absorbent. When it comes to linen being grown, it needs moisture, a lot of moisture, but being antibactericidal, they don't need to use any pesticides on it. So it's a very clean process it goes through. Just some interesting facts on that. And a linen shirt will always be needing some ironing. I know a lot of us went through the sample, and if you actually wring it a bit, you'll see what I mean. You will need to iron it before you wear it. which isn't always that nice, but it's a natural look. Most people wear it just like it is. Cotton you can iron as well, but sometimes, especially with the new 100% cotton shirts, they pre-treated so that you don't need to iron it at such a high temperature. So that's just some interesting facts for you. I'm going to hand out a worksheet for you, and when you're finished with filling in the burn test, I'll quickly run through the answers for you. The activity sheet that I've handed out, you can start with that in class. If the bell rings, I want you to finish it so that tomorrow we can quickly go through the memorandum and we can do a quick Kahoot again, just to take everything into consideration and make sure that you understand cotton and linen. It's important to know the origin, the characteristics, the care instructions, and the uses on what we will use it. So I hope you found this interesting, and tomorrow we'll start with natural fibers as well. You must have a very nice day.